Hello everyone and welcome to this special interview. I'm Avan Dabaj. This is the LinkedIn special. At a time when the coronavirus pandemic has caused global unemployment, a mass of jobs that have been lost, there are new skills that are required to stay relevant as well as useful. What should campus graduates be doing at a time like this? And which are the sectors that are hiring in this current time of crisis? Well, to answer that and lots more and give us a general picture as to what the job market is looking like in India, joining in is a very special guest. We've got with us Ashutosh Gupta. He's the country head at LinkedIn India to discuss the outlook for the jobs market. Ashutosh, appreciate you taking the time out and joining in. To begin with, let's understand the scenario for the jobs market currently, because one can definitely say that after the pandemic, there has been a 360-degree turn. Things are not the same. So how would you categorize this new normal, if you will, for the jobs market?
Absolutely. First of all, I think the pandemic has disrupted life and professions for companies across the globe, right? And they have thrust us into this business unusual world, right? We have dealt with financial crisis in the past, but a financial crisis or economic crisis coupled with a health crisis, that's a first for everybody, literally. So everybody's struggling, everybody's trying to find the answers. There are like unprecedented shock on what has happened, right? And during these times, the platforms like LinkedIn, we have our work cut out from a professional community perspective to really help and share insights and how it's going to shape up in the near future. So I think when we went into lockdown in early April, we launched LinkedIn Workforce Confidence Index. It was our way to figure out how a member or our professional community is feeling, where their confidence levels are, and do a pulse check on the confidence level. So I think it's a great way to connect back and also understand from the community on how they're spending their time, what are the top of mind things which they are thinking, right? So to your question, coming back to your question, what will be the new normal? I'll stay away from that phrase, but I would definitely say how things are shaping up right now. Whether it's a new normal or not, that is something which we'll have to see and we'll have to wait over the time. So I think first thing which that survey told us was confidence across the Indian professional community member base which participated in that survey is fairly reasonable. I would say the word I would use is cautiously optimistic. So just to give you a little bit of details on the survey, we poll on the confidence survey on a scale of -100 to 100. And we have been getting scores around 49, 50. The last one had a score around 49. And it has not really declined over the last 6 weeks. So I would say that cautious optimism continues. And there are many, many dimensions across this, which we will talk over next few minutes. But that's my first headline, saying that the community is cautiously optimistic about it. And the second thing, which I would say, and we can spend more time on this as well, is, reskilling is going to be the road. It's going to be a key factor. It's going to help us recover from this crisis, right? So it's going to play a very important role. And that's where I think we have come together as Microsoft, LinkedIn, and GitHub. And we have launched a digital skills initiative for 25 million people across globe so that we can help them understand how to be more digital savvy. What are those jobs which are right now in demand and what are those skills they can acquire? So as I said, like two things to remember, right? I think the confidence is cautiously optimistic and reskilling is going to be the most important factor to the road to the recovery.
So Ashutosh, as you just alluded to, now is the time to reskill oneself. It's time to press the reset button. So if we had to really narrow it down, if one had to identify the essential skills that would be required in a post-COVID world, how would you categorize that? What should people be doing in order to make use of a lot of the time that they have on hands to reskill and become a lot more relevant to today's changing world?
So I'm glad that we have aligned on a terminology. So let's talk about reskilling, right? So first of all, I think people don't have to do the hard work of figure out what skills will be in the demand. We have done a lot of that groundwork for the professional community. So we have economic graph data, which we can use to share insights and tell the community on what we are seeing, at least on the platform, and it's going to be relevant for each one of them. So I think LinkedIn, the vision is to, help create economic opportunity for all professionals, and that manifests itself into an economic graph. So first of all, what is economic graph, right? So economic graph is, data which is related to 690 million members we have on the platform, 50 million companies, 11 million jobs, 36,000 skills, 90,000 schools. When you put all this together, imagine a graph, and all of these are nodes, and there's economic opportunity being translated between each one of them or transacted between each of them. So this economic graph gives you very rich insights, very rich data, which we have used to study at this time and analyze so that we have, we can pass on those insights to the community. So now coming back to skills. So I think there are three things I will tell, which is very, very important. So number one, using economic graph data, we have figured out the top 10 in demand jobs, which we see on the platform. And this is based on not only just currently, but also we have factored in the growth of some of these jobs over the last 3-4 years, so that we have factored a little bit of sustainability of those jobs, right? So top 10 jobs, which we have identified, which we will be sharing with the professional community as well as the government agencies who will help the community to get those jobs. So that's number one, top 10 jobs in demand. Number two is what are the skills required to acquire these top 10 jobs, right? So I think that's the most important bit, right? That's our real focus, trying to identify those skills related to these 10 jobs. And very similarly for the 10 jobs, we have mapped out what we call 10 learning paths, right? What is a learning path? Learning path is a very structured sequential way to acquire those skills. So in LinkedIn Learning, these are series of video-based education content, which you can take, and then at the end of it, you have acquired those skills which are required for these top 10 jobs. And the last bit, and the third very important thing is, once you have acquired those skills, we have to make sure that you have ability to demonstrate those skills and tell the world that you are now looking for jobs. And that's where a very important feature of Open to Work has been launched, where on your LinkedIn profile, you can say that you're looking for a job, and that changes the color around your profile picture so that it's very distinctly, remembered on the LinkedIn feed, right? So those are the three things. Once again, to reiterate, top 10 demand jobs using LinkedIn economic graph, the learning paths for those top 10 jobs, and number three, the tools that people can demonstrate this skills as well as tell the world that they're open for hiring. All this is available on opportunity.linkedin.com, where you can read more. So all the viewers who are listening into it, I would definitely request all of you to go to that website and learn more and leverage it.
Well, that certainly is going to be very useful, and I'm sure a lot of users will be updating their LinkedIn profiles now. But Ashutosh, I want to just talk about this trend of work from home. I know that a lot of companies have adopted this strategy globally for the rest of the year, for sometimes even an unlimited time frame. But it is rather debatable as to whether the concept of work from home can actually see a systemic shift, particularly in India, which is a very labor-intensive sector as well, a country as well. So what is your sense that you're getting when it comes to the shift from work from home? Which are the sectors in your readings as well as research that have managed to cope very well with the work from home, and which are those that will definitely need to see a shift back to the office?
Yeah, I don't think so. There is a right and wrong in this, but I can share what through Workforce Confidence Index, what community is telling us, and then I will provide an interpretation of those results, right? So I think returning to work, being in office, what will be the workplace look like? There are many, many dimensions in this, right? It's just not like, let's just go back to work. We cannot work remotely, or the other extreme thing, let's all work remotely, right? So I think the answer lies somewhere in the middle, and it will be driven by companies' own culture and values and what kind of job, many, many different dimensions. So first of all, workforce confidence index, what it is telling us is that there are certain functions such as marketing, project management, and engineering, which are more confident about the effectiveness of remote working. I think there can be many reasons for it, but I won't delve into it. We just asked a question in the survey, and that's what it came out. Marketing, project management, and engineering are the most confident one. I think there are certain functions which are not feeling as confident, such as HR and finance, because for them, the in-person engagements, probably the traditional style of working has been there for a long time, right? So I think that's what we're learning from a function perspective, right? So there's another factor here, right? When the lockdown started, right, early April, I think it was very sudden in a way, and a lot of people were not ready to be fully productive and successful from home. So I think, it took some time before, companies could enable them, empower them to have the right equipment, right space to work inside their home. And once that is done, what we're hearing from our members, which is very interesting, that the physical well-being and the mental health support is something which is not probably at par right now. And that's something which companies would have to do more in the future if the remote part needs to continue, right? So again, mental health and physical well-being is something which is very, very important. And lastly, I think I believe that, your own personal situation also plays a role in whether this can be done in a way or not. For example, and this is my own reflection, people who live alone, they find the space. They can find the space inside the home to, have a peaceful environment to work. On the other hand, they kind of deal with a lot of loneliness and mental health support which is needed. Families are struggling because you have parents, each one of them have virtual classes and multi-calls. When husband and wife are working together, right, there's always so much space in Indian homes. So how do you deal with that, right? So I think I gave you three flavors. Two were database and third was my personal interpretation. But I think we'll have to wait as things evolve, as people learn, as companies reflect on this, what is the right thing for each of those individual companies, and then probably we'll know exactly how will the future shape up.
Okay. A lot of people that are going to be adversely affected in this time of a pandemic, particularly with job losses, are those fresh off campus. They've acquired the skills now, they're hunting for a job, and just look at the environment, it's absolutely not conducive for that. So given that it seems like the whole country and the whole world is really taking a gap year, do you think that even this is going to be a gap year for campus hiring? What would you advise to some of those who are fresh out of their studies?
So this topic is close to heart. I always go back to when I passed out from IIM Lucknow in 2000. And very soon in 2001, we were hit by a little bit of startup bubble bursting, which led to a financial crisis. It impacted the morale of the student community. It impacted our morale on the opportunities available. So I've been also talking to a lot of colleges. I've personally been helping them think through this now last few months on what it means to each one of them. So I think career starters, as we call them, they are definitely also the distressed, like they're very distressed about the situation. But again, I think, my message has been very simple, right? If you invest your time in acquiring the right skills, they will be relevant, they will be productive, and they will be successful. All right. Now, I think that's where I won't repeat what the whole skills initiative which we have done is also relevant for the student community. But I think, that's my main message to me is like to them is definitely keep thinking about the skills you're acquiring. And that way you can even assuming there is a gap here, it's an assumption, right? Like, so let's say assuming there's a gap here, there things are more difficult in the next 12 months, you acquire and you're ready for the when the opportunity arises. And specifically with the student community and career starters, I've been talking about 3, 4 very important messages to them. First of all, right, work on your LinkedIn profile. It's very, very important to get your LinkedIn, build a robust profile because that's where people will first come to know about you. Number 2, acquire skills and demonstrate those skills on your profile that you have acquired those skills so that whenever you interact with a recruiter, you are able to demonstrate that. Number 3, which is my favorite and the most important one, which has resonated with the student community a lot, that network. Your network is your net worth, right? I think we can worry about what will happen in 12 months, 18 months. But when you think about a long term, it's very, very important to build a good, strong network. And that will keep giving you back year on year. And I've shared that in the context of my own personal experience of my 20-year journey, where my network has been such a big part of my success. So I think, again, to repeat 3 things, build a very robust profile, make sure that you demonstrate skills on your profile. Open to hire is open to work is also relevant for them. It's just not about people who have directly been impacted by COVID-19, but student community, like if they are not able to find jobs, internship, they should leverage the open to work feature of LinkedIn and tell the community that they are ready to be hired. And number 3, which I said, your network is the net worth. So build a strong network, connect with people, stay close to your network, stay authentic as well, because people are struggling in this digital world. Like, how do I establish the connection? So those are the 3 things. And as I said, the network is your net worth. I resonated with the community a lot.
Your network is your net worth. That certainly is something that will be very useful to a lot of people. Ashutosh, let's get a move on. And, in an environment like this, I'm sure a lot of those, the campus starters, the career starters, as you described them, will be a bit disheartened that at a time like this, they've acquired those degrees, they've put in the work, they have studied, and now the future looks utterly bleak. So do you think that to a certain extent, the traditional degrees are sort of being replaced by digital skills, that they will now be at the fore? How will hiring be impacted in a scenario like this?
I don't think so. The traditional education, when I think back, it has a role to play, and definitely that role will continue. The most important thing which I feel is layering that education with the right skills, right? That is gonna definitely be the need of the hour. And also in the future, once you graduate from the college, right? Somehow the mindset can be, I've done my learning bit, now I need to work, which is not true anymore, right? Like, you continuously learn. Learning has to be part of your everyday life. I myself have acquired multiple skills through the last 3-4 months because I had time again, and I focus on learning all the time. So I think that's very important. So the continuous bit of learning will get enabled by the online learning, by all the players you just mentioned, including LinkedIn, which will have a lot of relevance in the professional life. So I think for student community, it's also important to remember that you have a long career, right? 20, 30, 40 years. So you don't want to take a short-term view in it. You definitely want to invest and keep on investing in your career so that when it keeps giving you back, right? So I don't think so the traditional ways of teaching, I still feel they're valuable, but layering them with the learning, with acquiring the skills, and continue to do that over your professional journey will become more important as we go along.
Okay, that's the word of advice coming in from those that are just fresh off the campus. But what about those in a senior management position as well, Ashutosh? Because now they've got a lot on their plate. Things are changing. They have to deal with, the number of employees in their companies, making the company a lot more mean and lean, and really focusing on, the number of people and the kind of people that they have in their organization, because it is a very tough time. So I'm sure there's advice for those at a senior management position as the industry is being disrupted day by day.
I think I would acknowledge that definitely mid-career, doing a shift is difficult, right? It means acquiring skills and new skills, and then you need what we call at LinkedIn a growth mindset. Like you should be opening your mind to acquiring those new skills, changing your ways, learning those new things. If it is challenging, it's not impossible, right? That's what I would say. And in fact, I think a lot of my personal interactions with that community as well over the last 3 months have been reflecting on that as well. I changed completely my trajectory 10 years back when I was in the IT space, and then I moved into digital and digital marketing, right? Now you can say, Ashu, you could have learned that because you were not dealing with a pandemic and other things. That's correct. Like it's more challenging right now, but it's very much possible. Hard skills when you are 10 years plus experience are important, but soft skills are really where you can make a difference, right? So you can show basic understanding of hard skills. For example, if I'm a non-digital guy and suddenly now I'm pivoting to digital skills, I think all what I shared earlier, you can use that to learn digital skills and show an understanding. But your tenure of experience, if you have acquired soft skills, which are like collaboration, communication, right, cultural humility in workspace, all of this, you can definitely, that's where you can make a difference, right? So I think it's challenging. It's not impossible. It's very much doable. And I think that's where I think even the senior management or middle management should definitely use this opportunity to think and acquire new skills.
Now, Ashutosh, while there are a lot of companies that are, completely closing down or definitely seeing, have been firing people, there are also those companies and those sectors which are managing to survive and even thrive in this time of a pandemic and creating an opportunity out of the crisis. So I'm sure this is going to be a very relevant question for a lot of people watching. Which are those sectors which are currently hiring? Which are those jobs that people can apply for at a time like this?
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to share some insights there. Again, let's go back to the Workforce Confidence Index and then learn from data what we are seeing there. First of all, I want to share that all sectors, there's difficult news, right? I don't want to build a picture where saying one sector is better than others. All of them are going through tough times, but there are definitely some of them which are showing better prospects and others will take more time. So when we went into the lockdown and early in the COVID, like a lot of frontline industries, right, were like looking pretty good, like in a sense, like healthcare, even the online delivery part, like that, those were really, really strong and they were hiring because suddenly the world was pivoting towards that. But now I think we are seeing more trends. So for example, we are seeing e-commerce, education tech. Those are definitely showing much more, sustained traction. And the Workforce Confidence Index also shows that the people in those sectors are more confident about the prospects of those companies.
Well, it's been a pleasure interacting with you, Ashutosh. You've really enlightened a lot of people as to how they can focus on, making themselves a lot more relevant and acquiring the right skills and what one should be doing in a very tough time like this. Appreciate you taking the time out. Thanks so much.